obviously they have Marta. So, but I think that we were able to like keep some of that under control.
Welcome to Red Stars Report, a podcast dedicated to bringing you the latest news and commentary on all things Chicago Red Stars. I am your host, LT.
And I'm your co-host, Liz.
I wanted to get this at the top of the show. I'm sure all of you have noticed that Grant hasn't been joining Liz and I on the last several episodes of Red Stars Report. Grant has a message for everyone to explain why their run as a co-host of the podcast will be coming to an end. So here's Grant.
Hey everyone, it's Grant. I wanted you to hear it from me personally and not in like a notes app apology form. I'm leaving the show. It's very unfortunate that I have to do so, but between time commitments, between various different things, and having a work-life balance and all that, I've decided that I can no longer say that I have the time available to do Red Stars Report anymore. And it really hurts my heart, like truly. I love podcasting. I'm not going to stop podcasting. But, I'm going to miss doing it with LT and Liz. And I know that they are going to still have the same good old Red Stars Report that you know and love, even though if you don't have me being goofy in the episode. I just want to express my gratitude to all the people that follow us online, all the people that listen to the podcast. If you're a part of the Discord, if I've met you in real life at games, it's so wonderful to have a community for Red Stars fans, and LT, you do a great job of doing that. Hopefully this is not a goodbye. Hopefully it's a see you later. My schedule is so crazy. I hope that I can be able to join the podcast again as a guest. That would be amazing. But until then, I just want to say thank you again. Yeah. Hopefully see you soon.
So Grant was actually the first podcaster to invite me on to their show to talk about the Red Stars in my early days of starting Red Stars Report a few years ago, which was like kind of a cool moment for me because I was just kind of making content, tweeting stuff, and to just kind of be noticed by someone else who was also making women's soccer content was an important moment for me and an important moment for Red Stars Report in general. And Grant was integral to the foundation of the podcasting side of things, getting us set up with, things behind the scenes that have sort of propelled this platform forward. And I'll always be appreciative of Grant's contributions to this community, and I wish them the best in their future projects. And, things like podcasting can be hard, getting everyone's schedules to align. And but Grant's always welcome to hop on any week. Anytime they'd like to just hop back in and start talking Red Stars with us again.
Yeah, I agree. Grant, I will always say hi to FC just for you.
Yeah.
And also everything, yes, you're welcome back whenever, for sure. We appreciate the humor. I feel like Grant brought a lot of humor to this, and
Yeah.
I feel like I'm a lot more serious.
No more laughing on Red Stars Report. We're done.
Right?
No more jokes. We've
Right.
lost our comedy.
Exactly. I mean, minus the whole Nebraska sports thing, not going down that road, but other than that, but yes, Grant, thank you so much for everything that you've done for Red Stars Report. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Like I said, just so important to the beginning of Red Stars Report, and what they did here will be important to whatever this becomes in the future. So, always I was happy to have Grant as my partner in this from the beginning, and everything that they're doing leading off of Red Stars Report. I'm really proud of everything that they're doing in their life and their career. So I just want to get that off of the top. I know there's been a couple of people wondering why it's just been Liz and I for the last couple of weeks. But thank you for Grant for making that video to sort of explain the situation. But let's move on and talk about the match, maybe.
I mean, we could just talk about Grant more. That would be maybe
That'd be
better.
more palatable to just talk about how great Grant is,
Yes.
rather than talking about the current state of the Red Stars. But first, I wanted to say that Liz was going to come to this match and be in the press box and join me up there this week, but sadly wasn't able to. So I just sat next to a blank seat with.
Oh, you never told me it was next to you.
It was like 2 over. I ended up taking your card and moving it so I could sit next to Joe Chats of On Tap Sports.
Oh, I
that's
was
where
next
you were
to
placed.
Joe.
Yeah, you were next to Joe. I'm usually next to Joe.
Wow.
Every week that I go there, I'm always next to Joe, and they put you there, which is so weird to me.
High priority right here.
So yeah, there was Liz's card. I took a picture, sent it to her.
Yeah.
But I wish you could have been there, especially to see Marta's goal, because that was kind of incredible.
Well, and I had told you that was one of the reasons I really wanted to go to the game, was because I've seen Marta play before, but this is going to be one of the last times I'm going to get to see her play, I feel like. So that's a bummer, but unfortunately things did not work out, but hopefully in a couple weeks I'll be there.
So first home match for the returning Olympians, first home match for Julia Grosso included in that, and of course the sort of
Surprise!
first lackluster surprise, if anything, of Ludmilla being in Chicago. Just a picture of her jersey in a locker, and guess who's here? She's been there for a few days, and players and staff on the team kept sort of making it sound like she wasn't there, which was odd throughout the week. So I expected, if they were keeping her being there a secret, that it would have been a bigger surprise. But like all the marketing materials still had her on it. So people were questioning, like, if they're not saying that she's there, is she going to be there? Even though the marketing material says it's there. It was kind of a mess. And it felt incredibly lackluster until she checked in, and then it was exciting.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of confusion the days leading up based on the marketing and things like that, because everybody was under the impression that she was not there, that she was having visa issues and all of these things. And maybe she did, because she wasn't there right after the Olympic break, but still, yeah. But when she checked in, excitement, and you can see what is going to happen once she gets time with the team. It's going to be even better, but she brings energy, and that's what this team needs, is some energy, because it felt like they didn't have a lot of energy in that game. So hoping that she can learn to play with people very quickly, because we've got a short end of the season here.
Yeah, the crowd when Ludmilla came on was amazing. The number in attendance was 7,291, which was the 5th highest standalone in club history. I had, just based on like what people were wearing to the match, it seemed like it was a lot of people there to celebrate the Olympians, especially Mal and Alyssa. And then there were certainly a big handful of people there to see Ludmilla play for the first time in America. And I had commented, I wondered if there were Brazilians or Brazilian fans that showed up to watch Ludmilla play in America for the first time and realized that Chicago has a Brazilian that is a fringe roster player for the national team down there too. So they came and saw two of them, which was cool. But yeah, the crowd was kind of awesome. They were so loud when Ludmilla checked in. So that was one of the few really exciting moments in that whole thing.
Yeah, I mean that if the Brazilians came, they got to see several of their players because Orlando obviously has
Oh yeah.
a huge chunk of Brazilian players, and I think Marta draws a crowd too, just because it's Marta. And so it was very exciting with Ludmilla because you're like, okay, what's going to happen? And then Julia Bianchi got but yeah, I think that the game just overall lacked a lot of excitement. It was kind of just a blah game. I feel like just losing 1-0. I'm actually kind of okay with that loss because it could have been way worse. But you look at the stats and you're like, it could have been way worse. It just wasn't. But yeah, I'm just excited to the positive is that Ludmilla's here now, obviously, and she's going to get to actually train with the players here moving forward. And she's going to get to learn to play with everybody, and maybe we can actually play Julia Grosso in the correct spot moving forward. That would be super awesome.
One can dream, two can dream, and
Right.
several can dream. But yeah, one nothing loss to Orlando. Obviously, we previewed this match in our last episode, and um, I thought it would be much worse. But
Positives.
just one absolute banger from Marta that, like, even if it was against Chicago, I can die happy knowing that I've seen Marta score a goal like that in person in my life. I was like, that's how I felt in that moment. Like, it was like the initial, like, oh man, but then immediately followed by I can't believe I just witnessed that, um, like, bucket list moment, seeing a legend like her score like that. Probably one of the best goals that she's scored in the NWSL, and there have been many. Um, so yeah, I, yeah, the whole match, um, more negatives than positives, but like you said, there were some positives to draw from it, but three losses in a row now. Um, they've lost 5 of their last 6 going back through the Summer Cup. They sit in 8th place on the table right now. I think they're 2 points ahead of the playoff line. Each week they keep dropping and the schedule doesn't get any easier. So the next several matches will be very important for them if they want to make that playoff push. Obviously, I believe that all the players and staff are, their focus is playoffs. But if they don't get to the playoffs, I don't think it's like a burn everything down kind of season because they weren't expected to make the playoffs to begin with.
Exactly. And you think about what they've gone through with losing Sam Staub and just all of the things that have happened. It's just it's okay. Like if they don't, they don't. But I have the expectation in my head based on how they're sitting in the table that they should. Even though it is a rebuild year, I think that there will be disappointment if they don't make it. But if they don't, I'll get over it because I do realize it is a rebuild year and we're throwing in so many new players here at the end of the season.
Yeah.
That makes things really, really hard to learn, which it's good. I'm not saying it's bad. It's good that we're getting these new players. We're signing these excellent players. It's just going to take a bit to gel. Also, Mal does not look like the Mal that we know. She is tired or something's going on here. I know she had an illness right after the Olympics. So hopefully she's just going to get back to herself, but she just had some really poor touches on the ball and just wasn't running things down like she normally does. And hopefully she can get back to her normal self. And as I said, please play Julia Grosso in the correct spot because that would be awesome.
Yeah, the the match as a whole was like good defense, at times great defense, and then just poor offense. The
Yeah.
forwards, like you mentioned, like Mal, isn't really getting the ball to make things happen. And even if she does, like there's no one around to help, which has kind of been a feeling most of the time for several years now. Only 2 shots on goal, both by her. One other shot was off target by Jenna, and that's it. They only had 3 shots.
The stat that really threw me off was the 0 corner kicks.
11-0.
I would like to know the last time,
0.
if ever, we've never, like, I don't know if that's the first time we've ever been shut out on corners or not, but that stat was the one that I was like, that tells you how bad it was when you're not even getting a corner.
And it was annoying because we even had an entire first half of Julia Bianchi, and to not give her any corners to take.
What could have been.
I mean, they didn't even let her take free kicks, which was also really frustrating. We've talked about it for so long that it's like, why would you not want a player like Mal at the top of the box to clean up rebounds off of a set piece into the box, or even Grosso up there? She can make things happen, and just have Julia, who's a fantastic set piece taker, take all of your set pieces.
Yeah.
I don't understand it.
Yeah, I feel like we've talked about it, as you said, so much. I don't know. I don't know what Lauren's doing. I mean, he sees him every day, so I guess he knows more than I do when it comes to that. When she does take our free kicks or our corner kicks, I just feel like the quality's better.
Mm-hmm.
But it is what it is, I guess. I don't know. It's frustrating. It's frustrating, but who knows? I don't know. Julia Bianchi just feels like she just falls out of favor, and we're just not utilizing her properly, and it's unfortunate.
Yeah, that was one of the changes in the starting lineup from the last match. There were 2 Julia Bianchi in for B Franklin, which I thought was in general just a choice because B's been playing pretty well. And then B came in at half, and things felt like they got a little better offensively, which was good. But I asked Lauren about starting Julia in the post-match presser, and he said that she had been playing well in training, and just felt like she deserved that opportunity, but also mentioned that he believed her experience in knowing the Brazilians on the other side and her knowledge of their game and their movements would have helped, but he said that it didn't seem like it worked out for her. So don't expect Julia Bianchi starts more here soon.
Hear me out. Hear me out. Drop Carrie back, play Julia, and pop Kuika out. But what do I know?
That's what we
And
keep
speaking
mentioning.
of Kuika, oh my. One
Save of
of
the
the
week.
greatest goal line saves as a defender, running back towards your goal. That is so hard. Impressive. She is so good.
And I think it's just like instinctive at that point. Like you want to, as a defender, you want to do everything you can that the ball doesn't go to your own net. So honestly, I was just trying to get something on it and hope that I don't head it into my own goal. But yeah, I had to like take a little peek and see like how close I was at the goal. But I'm happy I was able to save it out.
The way she kind of like contorts herself to get her head on that, moving in that direction, and to get enough on it to get it over the goal instead of just sending it right back into their own goal. I was just I was like, I don't tend to verbalize my excitement too much in the press box, because that's not really something you're supposed to do. But I think I don't remember exactly what I said out loud, but I it Yeah. I was just like, oh my God, or wow, or something like that.
Mine was a big wow. It was a big wow.
Yeah, if, or maybe it was like a how or something. Cause like how, like, I don't know how she did that.
Well, the way
Um,
Alyssa looked at her afterwards, she was also like, how?
yeah. And in the moment, live, it kind of almost looked as if Alyssa probably could have gotten to that, but when I went back and watched the replay, that was going in.
Yep. I think
Like
it was just out of her reach.
Alyssa may have gotten like a fingertip on it, but it wouldn't have been enough to keep it out of goal. It might have just like deflected it a little further to the left and still would have gone in. Um, but yeah, Kuika saved that. And the last time I checked, she was currently winning the goal of the week, or goal of the week, the save of the week in uh the NWSL's Twitter and Instagram polls.
I
So
should probably vote for that. Whoops.
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
I'm so bad about
And
that.
do it on your multiple accounts as
Oh
well.
yeah. Good call. I need to, yeah, I'll do that. Good call.
Just to cheat the system a little.
Always. I mean, everybody else does with all the fan bases, so why not?
Yeah. I thought the back line in general, like we said, this kind of expected I kind of expected this match to be a blowout based on their recent form. And the back line has not struggled like mightily without Sam Staub, but it's certainly different. And you can kind of tell they're still sort of getting used to each other on the pitch. Like they obviously train with each other throughout the entire season um, in their various positions. Like Hannah's obviously trained with Natalia for a long time, um, but never played on the pitch with her in those two center back roles up until Sam was injured. And then even Natalia was out for the rest of the summer cup. So they really haven't had a whole lot of time together. But I really think that those two have started to really find a groove in their communication and their positioning. Hannah, other than when she was like slipping and sliding on that pitch, she I thought played pretty well, especially against players like Marta and Barba Banda. And even when she did like slip and slide, she would stand right back up and make these really good recovery runs to alter the shots of Banda that could have gone on goal, or even get back to her quick enough to make her make a pass instead of actually shoot, which she did, I think, 2 or 3 times. So even when she was making these mistakes, she would recover well. And I think that's all, that's very classic sports movie. Just, when you get when you fall down, you get right back up. And she certainly has put so much hard work and time into winning that spot. And even though she has to fight for it every single week, clearly she keeps winning because she's good enough to be a starting center back on this team.
Yeah, she's impressed me this whole season. That she's played. I can't say enough good things about her. We are very lucky that she fell to us in the draft, we have mentioned before. And she's just going to get better. That's the best part of it. She
Yeah.
is a rookie and she's just going to get better. And you love it. And you've got Kuika and you've got Staub coming back, hopefully, next season. I don't know when, who knows. But anyway, at some point Staub will be back. And so it's just one of those things where it's so promising, and that you like it when a rookie makes a mistake, like, or slips. I don't want to call that a mistake because it's not really your fault, but
Sure.
but then you recover from it. You don't just hang your head, give up on the play, whatever. Like, especially as a center back, you can't do that. And I think playing and watching the Kuikas and the Staubs of the world, where they never quit on plays ever and they throw their body at everything. I think she's learning how to do that and do it well. And I can't say enough. And another player on the back line that I thought had a very, very solid game that is trying to fight for her spot. Well, two of them, but I thought Taylor Malum had a very solid game as well. Really, really good. And I love how she tries to get the ball forward and play forward and more of an offensive minded outside back. But I thought that she had a really good game.
Yeah, she spoke in the post match. I asked her about the um, getting back out there and playing extended minutes for the first time in a while. Her last start was the Wrigley match on June 8th. And so and she just spoke about like never knowing when she's going to see the field. So she just always has to, be prepared to go out there. And I commend her for being able to put in a shift like that against the best offense in the league um, when you're on the bench for the last 2 months. And on the opposite side of the field, Cameron Migalski just also putting in another solid shift and making things happen on that line. And these players just really, like, her and Natalia really seemed to click with each other, which I thought was good to see. And then Cam unfortunately ended up going down with an injury, and there was no updates as of this recording. I'd asked Lauren about it post match, and he had no updates, but spoke about the importance of her role and how well she's been playing. And so to have a player like Sam Staub go down, um, it's nice to have so much confidence in the players back there to get the job done. Um, Obviously, they lost 1-0. So, you can just look at a stat line and say they didn't do their job, but the defense was not the reason that they lost that match at all. Their defense was their best line through and through the whole time.
I mean, you look at Orlando and their roster and their lineup, you're not very often going to hold a team like that scoreless. And so also if you want to win a game, you have to score. So if you're not scoring goals, you're never going to win. And it's frustrating because you want to score. I think Mal gets frustrated because she doesn't get a lot of touches on the ball. I mean, at one point, Julia Grosso had hardly any touches on the ball as well. I don't remember what time frame that was, but it was less than 10, I believe. And I don't remember what the time frame, but it was a crazy stat. And so those players, it's hard. It's hard because when you're not getting touches on the ball, you feel like you have to make the perfect play every time you get the ball. And that's so much pressure that then makes you make mistakes. And I feel like that is something that's been happening. But back to the back line for a second. I feel like we're getting to the point where maybe Carrie, when we're not playing a team that has Banda and Marta and company, maybe Carrie Riccaro is going to feel comfortable enough that she doesn't have to drop back all the time because that back line is playing so well, which means that we can have more of a midfield presence, which means maybe we can progress the ball down the field. That's my hope. That maybe we'll get to that point. Maybe not this year, but maybe the next
That's
year.
what it was during the Angel City match.
Yes. Yes.
She was getting up more, and I was like, is this the future?
That's what it feels like. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you play Orlando and you're like, nope, not the future. It's
I
just
mean, I feel like you have to do that with
yeah.
a team like that because Barbara Banda just herself, we saw her play against the U.S. Women's National Team, and she's so talented. Even just with what she has on that team, you put her on a team like Orlando, holy cow,
Yeah.
like so
But
good.
but the problem is when Chicago does have the ball,
We're not getting up
um,
the field.
you're not getting up the field. I mean, their passing percentage was what, 67%? accuracy,
And 39% possession just in general, I
39%
think.
possession, 75 passes in the opponent's half. 75.
And one shot
That's
inside the box, I believe.
yeah. Like they can win their duels and their tackles and clear the ball and block shots better than anybody. um, but you're not gonna win unless you have players that can hold the ball and get it upfield. And that's the most frustrating part about the Julia Grosso positioning is you start her up top with Mal in the beginning of the match. And I believe by halftime she was 8 of 9 on passing. 8 of 9. Like like that she is your best distributor. She had 32 touches the entire match. Like, why are you playing her as a forward essentially? Um, at half, they move her to the left wing where she played against Angel City and played well at left wing. So why not start her at the left wing? Still not the position that I believe that she should be in. It's frustrating to watch a player of her talent. Like when you watch her on the ball, you're like, wow, is this what it's like to have like top tier skill set players on your team? But she can't do it alone. It's the same thing we've always said about Mal. Um, and I truly believe that if they're not going to change their formation, then she needs to be playing on that defensive midfield, double pivot, whatever. Like she needs to be the connector in the middle. She's the
Yes.
only one that has truly shown that she has the years of experience and the talent level to distribute the ball, hold the ball, break out of pressure consistently. Even when she's not getting so many touches on the ball, she's still consistently over like 80% or 90% passing. And we don't see that with other players on this team. And it's just hard to watch her basically play center forward for half of a match when I don't think she should be there at all, ever.
Well, that's the thing. Like, she would be the perfect outlet for our defenders to be back there to do the thing that she is very good at. And then guess what? She could get the ball to Mal. Mal could get more touches because she can break the lines and she can progress the ball down the field and make those accurate passes. And that's the thing that's frustrating because when she's up top, she's in no man's land with Mal up there where the ball's not getting to the midfielders and then back and then up the field. So you need to bring a player back, and that she is the one that makes the most sense. And my concern is also the fact that you have a player that plays defensive mid like Grosso, and other players could be looking at the Chicago, like maybe I'm going to go to Chicago. Well, why would you want to go to a team where you're getting played out of position and you're not getting to do the thing that you're really good at? It's concerning at that level too, because maybe players are going to choose not to come to Chicago because they're going to have to play out of position, which sometimes that's okay. But in this situation, it's not okay. Where did we need to fill the void? The midfield. So we go and get a world-class midfielder and then we
play
play
her
her up
as
top.
like a wing midfielder,
I
essentially.
just don't get it. And I'm hoping that Ludmilla now being here is going to change that. That is my hope.
I I don't know. Obviously anything could happen, but I think it's either she's playing in that sort of center forward slash 10 role with Mal or someone else, or she's playing on the wing. And when she's playing on the wing, you see it you get to see more of her and her skill set, because you have Taylor this match distributing to Grosso on the wing, and then she's trying to get it upfield to Mal or Jamise or Jenna or whoever else was around. But when she was playing center forward, it was essentially like, can we bypass their midfield to get it to Julia? And then if she got it, there was no one ahead of her, because she was the player playing the highest up the field, which she shouldn't be. I don't look at Julia Grosso and think striker. Like, that is not her skill set. She is not a
Distributor.
striker. She distributes the ball. She holds the ball and can progress it up the field on her own, and then distribute it. She can be a attacking player if necessary, especially at the top of the box. But that's an attacking midfielder, not a wing midfielder, or like, I don't even know what they play her, and they swap her around, and none of it works. And it can't just be frustrating for us. I mean, you can sit there and watch a match at SeatGeek, and you can hear Mal the entire time just yelling, um
And pointing.
pointing at where people need to be, what people needed to do. And I even noticed it this time with Julia Grosso, where like there were several times where she had bypassed their defensive midfielders and was calling for the ball, and it would never go to her. And it's like, when you're playing her in that position, which is essentially out of position, but she's still doing the job of that role, but not getting the ball, it's not working out. And
No.
it sucks that she gets signed, and then, like, we didn't sit there and say like, this is our savior, but we at least figured that when she got in, it would improve the midfield.
Which is
But
where the problem is.
right now it's just
Yeah.
the same old story, just a different player on
It
the
just
wings,
sucks.
and it's her.
I hate taking somebody that's really talented and then just slotting them into a spot that is not where they should be utilized, and then you're just ruining it. Like, she's not looking as good as she could be because we're not playing her how she should be played. And that's frustrating. And she's doing the best that she can. And I think she doesn't know exactly what she's doing up top, which is also probably causing some problems with communication with Mal, and also the fact that she hasn't played with the team for very long
Right,
and she's
she's trying
playing
to
out of
gel
position.
still too.
Yeah, it's a whole mess. Like, I I don't like it, and I feel like I'm hoping that with Ludmilla here, hoping it's going to solve the problem. Trying to stay positive.
Yeah, so then at near the end of the match, I thought it was really interesting that they subbed Grosso out and brought Curran in, which I thought was strange at the time, but she made some really nice decisions and passes. The one pass that led to Mal's final shot. So, good on her for at least making a little bit of an impression on limited minutes. But when it's interesting when, like, you're playing Julia Grosso as this like outside midfielder role, and she's trying her best to play that position. And when you watch her play, you're still like, wow, that's a really talented player. But then Curran comes in, who is an outside midfielder and has played that for Kansas City well, um, comes in and plays well at that position for the limited minutes that she got, because she knows it. That's her position. she may not be a player that has the talent level of a Julia Grosso, but when you're playing a position that you've played for a long time and you know it, and it's with a team that you've been with all season, it's interesting to watch a player that gets so few minutes have an immediate impact in that role, versus someone who wasn't, because in my opinion, they don't belong there. They belong in another spot on the field.
Yeah, it just shows you how you're taking away the talents of Grosso when you put somebody else in that actually knows how to play that spot. And it's not her fault. She's doing the best that she can, but we're taking away her doing the thing that she's the best at. And it's unfortunate. It's just really, really unfortunate. And I feel bad for Curran too. She's been yanked around this season. It feels like playing a bunch of different spots, and Leilani Nesbitt, the same thing, has been yanked around and now has been like not even hardly playing. And it's tough. It's tough for some of these players. I feel bad for them. I feel bad for the team because we're losing a lot, but I still take away some positives from a 1-0 loss to Orlando, and the fact that we tied them and only lost by 1 goal in the other game. I'm like, that's solid. That's something to be like, okay. But I mean, obviously they didn't have Banda in that first game. But anyway, we
And
don't
the
have to
only
like say
goal
that.
that they scored on us was an own goal. So
I mean, that's the
even
thing. We're
more
defensively
points.
good. Defensively, we are very good.
Uh,
We just can't defend for 75% of the game. We just cannot do that
yeah,
and not expect to give up goals. And that's
yeah,
why bringing in Grosso will help alleviate that.
yeah. And she's played defensive midfield for Canada for the last few years, so I don't see why she shouldn't be playing there now. Um, at least try it, like just give it a whirl.
I mean, she's world class, so it's not like it's not to be that person, but it's not like the players that are there are like she's better.
Yeah, it's true.
So like I like that's the thing. Like it's just like you don't bench Mal and you don't play Mal really out of position. You don't play Grosso out of position.
Yeah,
That's in my opinion, that's just how it is. Like those players are players you don't play Sam Staub out of position. Like that's the thing. Like there's certain players that they play that spot, and to me Grosso's one of those players. I'm very curious to see what we do with Ludmilla moving forward, as well, because she's a little bit more versatile, can play some different areas. So I'm curious to see how she gels. But again, with this many newbies coming in, and then the back line kind of in a little bit of a interesting thing without Staub, the team's still gelling, and we're going to be gelling for the rest of the season. But they could get really good really fast if they can figure it out a little
yeah,
bit. So there's positives to come.
yeah. I just don't know what figuring it out looks like. Um,
Depends
is it
on
just
where we
yeah,
put people, where
yeah?
we put
Is
them,
it
and
formation change? Is it personnel change? Where you're playing players, tactics?
I wouldn't mind a 4-2-3-1, which is what Orlando was playing. I would
Yeah,
not mind Chicago switching to that. I think that that could be really, really good, but
yeah.
I doubt we do it.
Probably not. They
No.
kind of play a 4-2-3-1 sometimes, but it's kind of all it all kind of all meshes together, depending on whether or not they're playing defense or offense, and what
But I wanted a four
time in
two
the
three
match it
one with
is.
Grosso in one of the
As
twos.
yeah, which yes, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that's what
Uh,
I want.
yeah, um, but speaking of world class players, Mallory Swanson and Alyssa Naeher are on the 30-player Ballon d'Or nominee list. The award for the best women's soccer player in the world over the last year. First time either of them have been nominated. Alyssa's the only keeper that's nominated. Not usually something that Americans win or even really get nominated for all too often. So I don't expect much. It's pretty cool.
I think that at least one of the Americans that are nominated will make the final list. I think that we could see a few. But we'll see. I don't know. I'm just really excited for Alyssa because I know she's like she made the comment, she's like, it's a 60 player list, whatever. But it's like it's special for a keeper to even be nominated. That's almost a
Yeah.
win in itself. I think
And to be
there's
the
been a
only,
few.
like,
Yeah,
that's awesome.
there's been a few that have been nominated in the past, but it's very few and far between. So you have to be exceptional at the in your position to even make the list. And so
Yeah.
really awesome for her, for Mal, like her story, her comeback after everything is amazing. And also shout out Emma Hayes for making the coach of the year list as well. So that's awesome. I'm just happy for them. I'm just gonna throw this out there, even though it's not Red Stars related. The fact that Naomi Gurma was not on the list, I am so
I was just
irritated.
about to say this.
Oh, so
I
annoyed.
didn't want to take it away from you though, so I was hoping you would say it.
Yes, that's my girl, and I am so, so disappointed. There are so many players that are on this list. Again, it is a huge list. And the fact that Naomi Gurma, who is by far one of the best center backs in the world, if not the best, and she's not on this list,
Yeah.
it tells you how European centric the it is. So that's why, like you're saying, they're not going to probably win.
I would doubt
But
it.
I you never know. Wild things happen. I could see maybe I could see Trinity maybe getting it, honestly, which could be wild.
Mm.
But there's a lot of talent. That Spain team, there's a lot of talent there. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just excited because Alyssa deserves that recognition. Mal deserves that recognition, and the other U.S. Women's National Team players that got nominated also deserve that recognition. And so I'm just very, very excited because Alyssa has had a lot of ups and downs with her with club play compared to the US play, and then Mal coming back from her injury. I'm just really, really proud of them and excited for them.
Yeah, you said it best. Like these two specifically are, you know, just stories, the stories that they have and that they've had to overcome, and everything with Mal and her injury and coming back and being the hero of the Olympics. One of two heroes of the Olympics, the other being Alyssa Naeher. So if these voters just focus on, the Olympics, I would not be surprised if either of them made the short list, because Alyssa was unreal in the Olympics as well. And to get an honor like this near the end of her career, I think will be important for her legacy as a whole. Not that it needed it, because I think Alyssa as a person is a little more of um, a little more like what would be written in the legacy of Alyssa Naeher than her as a player, even though she is an incredible player. Um, but her and just who she is, I think is even more important. So especially just like you don't need an individual accolade like this to be great. And she is, and she's a legend. So, you know, awesome that they got nominated. I really probably won't think of anything of it unless they make the short list.
It's just a weird, like the cut date is like before the gold medal match for the time. I don't remember what it is. It might be like July 30th or
It
something
was
like
July
that.
30th. Yeah.
So that's the weird thing, but it's like, okay, it is July 30th, but like they won the Olympics. So like you can't not consider that with the people that are voting. I don't know. It's like just with the Emma
I
as
guess
well
that's
getting
true.
nominated. So
Yeah,
it's like
that's weird.
that she came
I,
into the US and did that too. It's interesting.
yeah, I think she got nominated more so for her Chelsea stuff
Chelsea. Yeah.
than anything. Even though, yeah, Yeah.
But then you look at it and you're like, but she came in, like she did the thing, and like
Yeah.
it's gonna be weird because then you're thinking the next year, are they
Yeah.
even going to even look at that and consider how she did? That's the thing. It's like it's gonna
Yeah.
be weird. The cut
I don't
line's
think
weird.
I don't think anyone is voting and being like, well, the cutoff is July 30th, so I guess I can't vote for them based on their Olympic performance in the gold medal match. So I don't know. That it'll be interesting to watch. But the other news that came out this week with the Chicago Red Stars is that Jenna Bike has signed a contract extension that will keep her with Chicago through 2026. So another 2 seasons of Jenna Bike. Jenna came to Chicago last season off of waivers from Gotham. She finally got her first career assist and first career goal this season early on. Mal remarked earlier in the year that the offseason work that Jenna had been doing has really worked for her and that her improvements are really noticeable. Hopefully, she keeps growing with Chicago. She's a fighter, she's a hard worker, great leader, great teammate. Um, and this club really needs a player like her, like with the embodiment of being a Chicago Red Star each and every match. So, and she's that. So I couldn't be more happy to have Jenna here for the next couple years.
Yeah, I think it's a solid pickup again to bring her back. She brings a lot of energy to the team. She plays very well with Mal. And it's just one of those things where she brings so much energy when she's on the field, and you love to see it. She's very good at drawing fouls.
She's always on the ground.
Always, always. And that's the thing. I love what she brings, and to have a player like, you think about it, she was unprotected in the expansion draft, and now she's getting signed um, to a multi-year deal with the Red Stars. It's kind of crazy how these things happen, but I'm excited. We stole her from Gotham, which I love. I know that but yeah, they shouldn't have let her go. And I know that there are Gotham fans out there that have made comments about how they wanted to keep her because
Yeah.
she is such a
Who wouldn't?
talent. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm very excited that we have her on our team, because I think that not only is she a very, very solid player for us, she's a very good person as well. And I always like to have really good people on the team, that not just good soccer players.
And no more expansion drafts for her to be unprotected in. So
Right. Exactly.
bonus. um,
Exactly.
yeah, I told you earlier in the week to just keep an eye on those players that didn't end up on the free agency list but had options on their contracts, just to see if some extensions were already signed or options were already picked up and they just haven't been announced yet. And Jenna was one of them, and and uh, and here we are.
Surprise.
So pay a little attention to those lists and
Yes.
see what's gonna come out of them.
They
Um,
reveal secrets.
they they can reveal secrets.
Yes.
I would not
Just like we
expect.
learned that another Julia Grosso is coming to the league.
Yes, yeah, that was wild. But yeah, there's players that didn't end up on the free agency list that were in their option year of their contract. Like another example would be Ava Cook. So not on the free agency list, but no announcement on an option or a contract extension yet. So just
Another solid player that I
yeah,
would
so
love to keep.
just keep an eye on those players and the movement that happens there, and don't expect this team to be done with extensions. We've had two in the last 2 weeks now, so
Yes,
very important, very important. But
absolutely.
next week, well,
Can
technically
we
this
can we
week.
talk about one thing before we jump into the preview?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Okay. It's not Red Stars related, but I think it's worth mentioning the fact that Alex Morgan is now done professionally playing, because she announced that she's pregnant. And I just wanted to give her a shout out because she has done so much for women's soccer on and off the field. And she's just somebody that has done, like, you think of all of the equal pay stuff that she's done, as well as the bringing the abuse scandal that was going on in Portland with Paul Riley to the forefront, which then what had the ripple effect of all of the Yates report that came out that helped all of these players and all these people get fired, and the things that have happened from that. Alex used her platform to do so many good things for the women's game that I just wanted to take a second to say thank you to her for everything that she has done for the game. And I have a feeling we're not done seeing what she's going to do to help promote the game moving forward.
Yeah, she was asked in her last press conference if she was going to consider going into coaching, and she said something along the lines of like, "No, I've found my calling in like investing in women's sports," and that's exactly the answer that I would have expected from Alex Morgan. Like I can think of so many things that she has done on the field, but my mind always goes back to the Sinead Farley and Mana Shim stuff and what she did for them, and to have them come back into the league after all of that really showed um, more for what the players felt of the league than anything that was going on at the time. And Sinead retired the same day that Alex had. And there was a quote from Alex that I pulled up. She said, "I'm honored to be able to share the same retirement date with her because although we had very different journeys, we fought for the same thing, and the league is in a better place because of her." So, like, that is where my mind will always go to when I think of Alex Morgan, is what she had done for women's soccer off the field that impacted it on the field. Um, and then all of the on the field stuff was just a cherry on top, I thought. So
Yes. Her
so
stats were wild.
yeah,
Like, you look at some of the stats where like when she scored for the US women's national team, they never lost a game. Wild.
that's insane.
Like, it's wild. Technically, one was the World Cup final, which they did. It's a draw, but they lost to Japan. But anyway, doesn't matter. But it's just one of those things where you just look at what she's done, and I'm just so grateful that I got to watch her play. And I just she yeah the I was gonna say the Sinead Fairley thing with her being done at the same time for an unfortunate reason. It's kind of just symbolic of all of that. I thought it was very symbolic of both of them kind of stepping off at the same time. And I'm just I just, as I said, I can't wait to see what she does. And I'm forever grateful to her for what she's done for the game. And they say, a lot of athletes say that they want to make the sport better than when they joined it. Alex, without a doubt, can say that she did that, and she made it safer for
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. Um, yeah, definitely not Red Stars related, but important. But also, it's crazy that that's not Red Stars related, because the amount of people that have been Chicago Red Stars and one of them not being Alex Morgan is kind of weird.
Oh, I wish. Could you imagine?
I know, but like, I mean, like, think of like Megan Rapinoe and Kristen Press and Julie Ertz and like all these U.S. women's national team legends are that had been Red Stars, and one of them not being Alex is so strange. But yeah. so
Yeah. And
so yeah,
one of the
and
teams she played for is the Portland Thorns,
and
so
one
we
of the
can
teams
roll
she played
right
for
into
is the
that.
Portland Thorns. So Friday, uh kill me. 9 p.m. Central Time. The last time they played Portland, they were a struggling team with no direction who decided to just find their groove against Chicago.
As most teams always do.
Killed us in what felt worse than a 2-0 loss, but it was brutal. Portland currently sits 6th on the table, but have lost their last 3 matches against Gotham, Bay, and Washington. They just got a new keeper in Mackenzie Arnold, which hurts me to my core. I have my captain's armband from West Ham when she was the captain. Uh, but it hurts me that she plays for Portland, but it also hurts me that she's not playing super well. She had a couple of really fantastic saves, but the team hasn't been winning while she's been there. And they just got Raylan Turner recently. Jesse Fleming joined the team a few weeks ago. So you feel like they should have been getting better, but they've been getting worse. And that's strange.
Yeah, I'm Providence Park is tough. I'm nervous, and Portland, I feel like the thing that we do to help teams that are struggling is we don't possess, and when you let teams possess, they figure it out. And
Yeah.
so that is what worries me. And Sophia Smith is scary. She's always scary. But based on what I've seen of them playing recently, their back line is very, very vulnerable. If Mal can get on the ball, they have a slower back line in certain parts. And if she can get the ball and navigate it, I think that we could be in business. And so I'm hoping that that's the case. I'm curious to see what we do with our like midfield. Like, are we going to continue? Like, are we going to see Julia Bianchi? Are we going to see B? Are we going to see more minutes from Ludmilla? Or is she not like I don't know what we're going to see from her, because obviously she's just joined the team. And then is Grosso going to play up top? Which I hope not. But like I don't know what the plan is. And so I'm curious to see what that looks like. And I think that if we can get the ball to our front line and let Jamise and Mal with their speed get up on the Portland back line, I think that we could make some stuff happen based on what I've seen from the Portland back line.
Do you remember a few weeks ago when I was talking about the stat where it doesn't factor in anymore? But anytime the Red Stars possessed over 40%, they
They
won.
lose. Oh,
Or no, they lost every match except one. And then if it was under 40%, they would like win or draw. So that was the most interesting part about the Portland match. It was, I believe, the highest possession that they've had all season at 46%. And that was Portland's intention, was let's give them the ball and see what they can do with it. And what ended up happening was they would just
turn it over.
dispossess us later and then go down the field in transition and destroy. It worked out for them. It was a problem, and it was such a weird thing to witness, because you're sitting there. It was early in the season, but you're sitting there early in the season. You're like, okay, they're winning, but they're not possessing well. I wish they got more possession. And then they had, I mean, like, possession's not like the greatest stat um to rely on for anything, but it's so weird when you possess the most in the season in a match that you lose 2-0,
And you played
and
very bad.
you played so bad. But then prior to that, you were winning when not controlling the ball well. So
Yeah.
I don't know. So I don't sit here and say like I hope they get less possession, because I still have hopes that this team will find a better balance in possessing the ball that leads to goals and winning. Um, so I hope that Portland. I'd imagine that Portland's going to take the same tactic, so it might feel like we'll have the ball more, but they're just going to, I would assume, play us very similarly than they did, or as they did in the first. matchup, because that's really when Portland started to take off this season, and they may be struggling now, but they were struggling then, and then found their way with Chicago. So I hope that Chicago's ready to play differently than they did in that last matchup.
I think it's going to be interesting since we've got several new players,
Yeah.
how that works out. And obviously Portland also has new players. So, and they don't have some of the players that they had, when we played. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what they do. As I said, we don't know like Ludmila's fitness or like gelling with the team, how many minutes she's going to get, but she could be a sub that could come in the second half, kind of like she did in this game and make a difference. I I know I'm going to harp on this, but with players like Sam Coffey in the midfield, we really need Julia Grosso in the midfield to combat that, because Sam Coffey is very, very good. And she plays very, very well when she plays for Portland. And so we don't want that distribution happening. I would be nice to have a player like Julia Grosso who could maybe shut that down a little bit, and alongside Carey. But I don't know what Lauren's plan is, but I would love to see Grosso play in the midfield due to the talent that Portland has in the midfield.
Yeah, the matchup will they play somewhat similarly in like formationally to Chicago. Um they play with the two up top better than Chicago does. Like Sophia Smith plays the center forward a lot more. Like she plays higher more than like when like Mal and Julia were like switching off. And then Moultrie sort of sits back a little further. Um, but can also play up top. Like she's the kind of player that can play that center forward position if need be. Um, and so it works well for them playing in that formation. And I don't know if it helps or hurts Chicago that they play a similar formation, because like the matchups will be a little more easier to watch and figure out, because you're not playing like a completely opposite um, style or completely opposite formation than the other team. I'd imagine that Chicago's still going to stay in their like mid to low block, like they kind of tend to do because of reasons. But the matchups will be interesting to watch and a little more clear to see because of the similar formations.
Yeah, they now that they have Spanstra and Turner and
Spanstra too. Yeah, I forgot about
yeah,
Spanstra.
it's oh man, it's tough. But as I said, their back line is where their vulnerability is. And I think that we can really, if we can possess, if they let us possess, we might be able to break those lines and get breakaways with Mal or Jamise or whomever is out there. I really think that we could take some opportunities and maybe pull off another win in Providence Park, because that's always fun to do.
Oh, that was good. That was a good time. So long ago. Oh,
It was so long ago, but that was one of the craziest games I've ever watched.
yeah. I can't, man. Just thinking
Yeah.
back to those days on the field, not off the field. Awful days off the field.
Yeah, not
Um,
fun, but that game in particular was great.
was that the last um Kalia Watt game that she played, or did she play in the final? I don't think she played in the final.
Oh man.
I have to
Did
think
she get
back.
hurt? Did
Yeah,
she get hurt in
I
the
think she got
final?
hurt in Portland.
Okay, she got hurt in Portland.
Yeah, I think she tore her ACL. I think it was on that left side of the
Oh,
pitch.
on the crappy turf field that Portland has. Let me
Yeah.
get that thrown out there too.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, because
Yeah, that
It was Mal in the New York match in 2021 that hurt herself, and then she obviously came back for the uh final. I think I don't remember what
yeah,
a
that
season.
because Watt got hurt and then Mal was there, but then Kelly had a horrible tackle on her, Kelly O'Hara, and Mal hurt her ankle and came out of the game, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that score, that goal in the just like Mal on the sideline, like limping and cheering. I remember that. That's what I remember.
Yeah, that. Ugh.
Yeah. I still have not gone back and watched that final. I watched every match that season twice, and I have not watched that match. I can't bring myself to it. I'll
The
watch.
adversity that happened in that whole season.
Oh, struggles.
Pain. Pain.
And everything that happened after that, even worse.
Yeah, even worse.
But then now we're here, and this team is like very frustrating, but still, you know, fun. Fun to
Exactly.
watch. Fun
But
to
you can see the promise. Like you can
yeah.
see the promise that's there. And that's what keeps me going and staying positive because nobody expected anything from us this year. And now
Yeah.
we're talking about being right there to potentially make the playoffs. So that's all you can ask for a team like this, in my opinion.
And you can see the investment that Ricketts and the ownership are doing. You can see that their new GM, Rick Fuse, is just making moves. And that's something we did not see for a while. Obviously, our assistant GM was making a lot of the calls prior to Rick coming to the team, and they were making moves this past off season before he joined. So those two sort of, you know, linking up now to be making all of these changes is good to see, and it'll be interesting to watch an entire off season of those two, plus Lauren, sort of.
When there's no draft and everybody's free game.
Oh boy, man,
Yeah.
that'll be wild.
Yep, it's gonna be a crazy, crazy off season.
So yeah, Portland on Friday. It'll be a
Yay.
late one, so you know, hopefully you guys stay up with us and chat with us on the Discord. We'll wrap things up for this week for Red Stars Report, but you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. And make sure you're subscribed to us on all those platforms so you know when our next episodes go up. Make sure that you are following us on all of our social media platforms at Red Stars Report so you can see the latest news between the episodes. Don't forget to join our Discord so you can chat with us during the matches. You can chat with us not during the matches. You can chat about so many things in that Discord now. There are so many channels, so many women's sports going on. Talking about the Olympics was fantastic. As the Paralympics, we had a chat channel in there for that too. It was great.
And college soccer.
College soccer, yeah, that's going on. So we're chatting in there too. Yeah, the Discord's just a wonderful place for our community, and I hope that anybody who consistently listens to us or is new to listening to us feels welcome to just join. You can just join with the link in the description. But with that, we'll see you next week for another Red Stars Report.